Oh my God. Welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, joined with Taylor Smith. Going to go over this 3-game main slate over at DraftKings. Jason Tatum doubtful, so already it is a very interesting slate on a day where it otherwise might not be due to some very low totals. That said, there's money to be won, and we aim to help you out. If we do help you out in any way in this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also consider joining our Patreon. Just $5.99 for the month to get access to all of our NBA core plays, our MLB DFS pitcher picks, our stacks, and everything else we cover, plus access to our Discord. Believe me, you're going to want all that. It is a really good value, and we've been producing some winners in the Discord too, so come see what it's all about. All right, the way we do this, we go position by position, highlighting the top plays, try to add a little bit of nuance to everything, factoring in ownership, projections, matchups, and all that stuff. So Steph Curry does lead the way here at point guard. He is 8.9K, so technically not that expensive. But I mean, I don't know how I feel about Steph Curry, to be honest. Like, game one, he was pretty good. The game before that, when he faced the Rockets, he got absolutely destroyed. He had like 3 real points. I don't know. Yep. I don't like it. I don't really like it. How do you feel about Curry?
I'm okay with it. There's not a lot of like superstars on this slate. We don't have Jokic or Giannis or Luka or anyone like that. So you're kind of doing a more mid-range balanced build by default on this slate. So I don't mind Curry at all. There's enough value to him pretty easily. You can argue he is underpriced, but I guess we're just going to have the same thing every day where everyone's underpriced. So not a huge deal. Like Tyler Hero is 7,700. He was 9,100, right, I think, on the last slate or the slate before that. So slate where everyone's underpriced. I don't think Curry is a must by any means, but I will still have around probably 30% of him, if not more, in both single entry, and then I would play him in 20 max, obviously, as well. So I think he's a very strong play. Like, he was okay in the matchup last time. Obviously the Rockets are going to throw everything they can at him, and Thompson, Tari Eason, or whoever, but you know, I still think it's okay because he's going to get the usage and he's going to get the minutes. He played 40 minutes in game 1.
Yeah, I guess I'm just like hesitant to buy into him after seeing him have success in game 1, which that sounds weird, but like I said last time, these series, they tend to fluctuate and balance out. Like the Lakers Wolves thing, I really had a strong feeling that the Lakers were the side to go to, that they were going to win that game. Usually, if the series is going to be remotely even, that is what's going to happen. So in this game, probably Houston really flexes their defensive muscle. They're at home. They probably tie the series here. That would be my guess. And if they do, it's likely that they find a way to stifle Curry. And just personally, I'm going to be looking elsewhere for the Warriors. The thing is, though, Curry's not like super owned. 25% owned. He does have a ceiling. You are very correct. Like, Tatum is gone probably from this slate. So then there's what? Banchero? Like, as far as like true studs up top. So for those reasons, you can still play Curry. Certainly not an absolute must, like you were saying. Below him, there is Donovan Mitchell, $600 cheaper. It doesn't project that far, lower, and he's going to be considerably less owned. So I think, like, if I had to pay up at guard here or at point guard, I think Spida would be the one I'd look at. Like, in the name of Pascal Siakam, I was so wrong about that yesterday. He smashed. At least I was right about Chet, right? But like, I don't want to really force you away from Curry, but I think Donovan's a better play. And like you were kind of suggesting, it just gets better as you go. Like, the projection's lower, but Hero at 7.7, Amen at 7.6, Derek White with no Tatum possibly at 6.9. You have Drew and Pritchard. They're viable. Pajimski at 5.5 just looks like a really good value. And just like right down the line, Ty Jerome, Davion Mitchell, like a lot to like at guard, to the point where I don't really feel super compelled to pay for Curry.
Yeah, I think Hero is my favorite of the expensive-ish options. Like I said, he's not even that expensive. They have a tough matchup against Cleveland, honestly. He's going to be the guy from a usage standpoint. The minutes are going to be very secure every night. So not concerned about that. I think I'd rather play Hero than Curry or Mitchell. Like, if I'm playing one lineup, it'll probably have Hero in it over the other two. But yeah, like you said, there's a value here. Up is a necessity at point guard. Like, Pajemski's a great play. You can also play him at shooting guard. Davion, like, DK never prices him up. He's 5K again. He's playing huge minutes off the bench. Like, he's been way better minute guy since he came to Miami from Toronto. He gets very safe run. He's like scoring points and stuff. Like, certainly there's a way he can fail. Like, still Davion Mitchell. He's still averaging like 0.8 fantasy points a minute with the Heat, so he's still not like Jokic out there, but he's just underpriced for who he is. And cheap value in these playoff slates is kind of hard to come by. But, I'm just going to go back to the low with him because I feel like he's far too cheap.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with playing him. I do think Jerome and Pod are guys I want to go to first, but if I land on Davion Mitchell, I don't have a problem with that at all. Those minutes, 34, 35 minutes.
For Jerome is quite light, but
I know. Yeah, Jerome right now is a priority for me. So it's just like, if you're doing a lot of lineups, yeah, I'll get a little bit of Davion, but if I'm doing one single entry like Ty Jerome over Davion and Ty Jerome and Pod right now are kind of finding their way into my lineups. It's just like, also, I think Curry's going to struggle in this game. So if that's the case, what's going to happen if the Warriors are going to stay close? Podziemski is going to have to pick up the slack. Jimmy Butler is going to have to have a big game. So that's just the way I'm kind of playing it. Funny thing is, like I said, Curry's not even like crazy owned. So you don't have to play it from that angle like that, take that big of a stance. Like I was saying though, Derek White, like the Boston guys also look good here. I agree 100%. If I'm paying up at point guard, Hero is where I start. I don't mind Curry or Spida, but Hero is just a crazy value right now. Amen Thompson, not that far behind him. Like I don't mind him at all at that price. I think with Houston fully healthy, I'm still not super psyched to go pay almost 8K for him, but I think he's certainly still in play.
I think Amen's a really good tournament play, like in the same vein as Bobby Portis yesterday. Like underperformed in game one. His ownership's probably going to be lighter than it was the other night as a result. Not that he was super on the other day, surprisingly. Point guard, small forward. So I think with all this we're talking about at point guard, playing a man at small forward is just what you do probably on DraftKings. Yep. Mm-hmm. But I'll be over the field on him again. I think like his ability to set the stat sheet, his minutes are very safe. I'm pretty much all over that tonight. And then I think I wish Derek White was not point guard only. Like it's weird that Holiday and Pritchard have shooting guard, but Derek White, the actual starting shooting guard, does not.
Right.
But I still think he's a very strong play. I just slightly prefer Thompson given his small forward eligibility.
Yeah, and Thompson's not very owned, so he's going to be an interesting pivot away from what I would imagine is going to be a somewhat chalky Jaylen Brown. We'll get to him in a little bit too. But as far as the Celtics guards, like, what is your angle here? Are you feeling more comfortable paying up for Derek White at 6'9", or would you rather take the savings with Pritchard or Drew?
I have very little interest in Holiday or Pritchard. I don't know. Like the Magic are still a good defense. That game has a pretty underwhelming total. Orlando's total is like 92 points, which is quite insane. So I'd much rather get to White than the others. I just think Pods, Mitchell, Ty Jerome, even Van Vliet, 5,800 is pretty light for Van Vliet. So he's on my radar. I'd rather play all those guys than Drew or Peyton Pritchard tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I will just say though, right now, maybe it's just because it's early, but they're projecting for like no ownership. So certainly getting a little bit over where that ownership is coming in might make sense, but they don't project that well. Like it's not a good game environment. Orlando is a good defensive team. They do play slow. And also there is the possibility that Tatum going out while yes, their usage increases. Well, we talk about this sometimes where like when a superstar player exits, sometimes like the offense falls apart, because it's kind of a big deal. Tatum scores like 26 points per game. So certainly something to keep in mind. And also there's other options to consider as well. Any interest in the Corey Joseph dance at 3.3K? He did play 26 minutes in game one.
No, I mean, we're not really paying up for anything. So I don't really get to dive that deep.
No, that's true. All right, moving on here. Going over shooting guard. We have Curry. No, is he over? No, he's not. Donovan Mitchell leads the way. Jaylen Brown, we didn't really touch on him yet. He's shooting guard, small forward eligible. I like Jaylen Brown in a vacuum. The matchup and situation kind of suck. His projection really doesn't blow you away. But there is no Tatum, and he's really cheap at 7.5. So I don't think he's like an absolute must. He's not like a core play for me, but I actually am very interested in him because of the role and the salary and the low ownership projection at the moment. So what are your thoughts there?
He's fine. He's dealing with a knee injury himself. So like he played 30 minutes in game one. I don't know. It feels kind of crappy. Like usually when one high usage guy is out, we play the other one. That's kind of how NBA DFS works. But I'm not super psyched about Brown. Like we talked about all these other guards, Heroes in that range, Mitchell for a little more, Garland we didn't really talk about. Like there's a lot of range good. I just think I prefer Derek White. I feel better about his minutes than I do about Jaylen Brown. So Brown is okay. I might have like 20% in the 20 max build. I'm like around the field on that, but I'm not really going to take a large stand either way. I think he's a fun play, but not an amazing one.
Yeah, I mean, the game was kind of in hand, so I wouldn't read too much into the minutes. He still played, 30 minutes in a game that was basically a 20-point game in the fourth quarter.
Again, like Orlando cannot score points.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He could certainly blow out again.
Yeah, I would say if we want to look at it logically, we want to look at the other options available here and the projection. Like, he does not have a projection that stands out like, oh, I have to play Jaylen Brown if you ignore the Tatum thing. But he's really cheap, and he should have like way more usage. So if the game stays close, I do like Jaylen Brown. I will be over on the current ownership, but I agree with everything you said. Another reason why you don't have to play Jaylen Brown is because Jalen Green, as volatile as he may be and as bad as he's been lately, he does have a ceiling, and he's dirt cheap at 6.5K. Not a core play for me either, just because he is an inconsistent guy, and so far he's just delivering floor game after floor game for some reason lately. Well, actually, towards the end of the regular season, that can be explained away because they weren't really giving him a lot of minutes because they didn't need to. But the first game against the Warriors, 3 for 15 shooting, that's exactly what we don't want to happen, but definitely can happen when you play Jalen Green. I like him, though, at 6.5K. I don't love that I'm going to be playing into ownership here, but I am going to play quite a bit of him. How about you?
Yeah, he's kind of flimsy chalk. Like, this is his first playoff run, as is the case for a lot of these younger Rockets guys. He is a little underpriced, but it is a bad matchup. So it's kind of like Jaylen Brown. I'm okay with him. I think he's fine around the field, but like, I'm not going to be jamming him well over the field just because I feel like the floor is so low that I don't want to get toasted by a chalk Jalen Green in like the majority of my lineups.
Yeah, that's fair. So the nice thing, though, there are other options. We talked about Podziemski, Pritchard, Drew. They're all shooting guard eligible. The only problem is after that batch of guys, if you're not high on them, what are you going to do here? Because it gets pretty gross in a hurry.
I don't mind Moody as a value. Played a lot of minutes in the first game. Didn't do anything with them, but the minutes being safe, 3,800, guard forward eligible. If you just want to punt this position and get away with or move on, I think that's okay. With Drew, I think Gary Payton as a punt is like acceptable. KCP, but certainly don't want to do that at high volume. He's 4K, but he's KCP. I think Moody's my favorite of the punts, but I like to play Podziemski here and move to small forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think I do want to stay away from the punts personally. I think Strus and Moody are totally fine values. But if I'm just starting out, if I'm doing a single entry, and if you're just building it on your own without an optimizer or something, Podziemski is the guy I'm looking to first. I do have interest in Jalen Green. I do have interest in Jaylen Brown. Probably just slide Jaylen Brown to small forward, though. And right now I'm not getting to a lot of Spida, but he's fine for tournaments because he's not very low. He's not very owned. Moving on to small forward, Jimmy Butler leads the way. Best projection in the entire slate, so he's going to be owned. 8.5K, a little bit too cheap for who he's been lately. Smashed in game one. Playoff Jimmy is a thing, and it has arrived early. Going to get big minutes. The matchup sucks. Like, you could certainly go either way here. Are you feeling like this is like a situation where maybe we should shy away from the ownership, or are you just all in on Jimmy?
I'm pretty much all in on him. I feel like since we're not paying for a lot else, Jimmy's pretty stable, 8,500. Going to play 40 minutes, assuming a close game. As was the case on Sunday when they played game one, I think this is the best game to target. Like, it has a tight spread. It's got a decent enough total. The other games have double-digit spreads or so. So loading up on this last game, I think, makes a lot of sense. Jimmy is a core play for me and for you, and I don't really think you should mess around and consider fading him too much.
Yep, I firmly agree. He looks awesome. Just need the game to not get out of hand for whatever reason. And I think if you're buying him at that ownership, that's all the more reason to not invest in Curry too much, because just what are the odds that they both absolutely smash? I don't know if they're that great. You can pair them together still, obviously, but I just don't think I'm going to do that a lot. I would probably split them up personally. Right below him, $700 cheaper, Franz Wagner. I think he's okay, but not a priority. I think I prefer Jaylen Brown there for $300 less. I prefer Amen Thompson at 7.6K. There's also Andrew Wiggins. Kind of looks better than all of them. Like, it doesn't feel like it should because it's Andrew Wiggins. Those guys are better players than he is, but he's cheaper than them, and he projects about the same. And yet here we are. He's down the pecking order here. He is carrying way more ownership than them though. So are you interested in taking like that value and like saving with Wiggins, or do you want to just run away from the ownership at that price?
It's like Jaylen Brown. I don't think he's a bad play. I will have some of him, but I just think Amen Thompson has a way higher ceiling for $500 more. You're getting him at about half the ownership. So for Thompson, multi-positional eligibility. Wiggins, like the matchup's bad. Miami has a sub 100 total again, so I think he's okay. I don't really see why he's 35% owned. I would take the under on that and just do something else there, like Butler, Men Thompson. I mentioned Moody. I also play him here. Sam Hauser, I don't think is a bad punt. He could start for Tatum. He's 3,300. Could see 20-ish minutes, maybe a little more if he's shooting well. I think that's a fine punt. So like Wiggins is okay, but I don't really see any reason to be like extreme chalk.
No, I'm out on the Wiggins thing. At the risk of being Siakam'd again, he's not like the smash that Siakam could have been, going into yesterday's slate. I think Wiggins is fine, but I would definitely much rather take a chance on Wagner, Brown, or Amen Thompson right now. And I rank him Jalen, Amen, Wagner, and then based on ownership, Wiggins. Does look like a good value though compared to them, no doubt about it. Tari Eason, 5K flat. I guess he's in play. Moody, Mr. already talked about them. DeAndre Hunter, I think at 4.4, DeAndre Hunter, like if he gets hot, like he could pay off pretty easily in like 20 minutes. I think he's an okay play. I'd certainly keep him in my player pool. Like the Sam Hauser call. It's probably about it here, unless Torrey Craig at 3K flat ends up getting a spot start for some reason. On the power forward we go. Banchero, we have not talked about yet. He is quite the pivot away from Jimmy if you don't want to play Jimmy at almost 50% ownership. He's going to be probably about half of that. So I do think he's a really good tournament play. That said, I think I prefer Jimmy and Bam as far as just cheaper comparable plays that look just as good, if not better. And then Evan Mobley, 7.9K, just way too cheap for what he's capable of doing. He projects well, and he's not even going to be as owned as Bam or Jimmy. So in tournaments, I think Bam and Evan look like really, really interesting. But right now, Jimmy and Bam just feel like better plays.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot more Mobley and Adebayo than Banchero. I just think the savings come in handy. Banchero's in a horrible spot. He get all the usage. We saw him put up a pretty good score in game one. So even in this matchup, he can thrive. But I'm not going to feed Banchero either. Like he's fine. I just think Bam's a better play. I think Mobley's a way better value. Jimmy's obviously a core play. And then I have cheap stuff here like Jabari and Tari and Dylan Brooks are all in the 5K range for Houston. The minutes are somewhat in flux. Like I think Ime is just going to kind of ride the hot hand with that group, but all are worthy dice rolls. I think Dylan Brooks at 4.7 would be my favorite. Being hot from beyond the arc and all that, so I think he's fine. We didn't mention Haywood Highsmith, but I think he's a fine punt also, like in the Sam Hauser vein, under 4K, going to have a role. Not exciting. Still prefer Moody if I'm punting, but just worth the mention.
Yeah, I really like the Dylan Brooks call. Not carrying a lot of ownership. We know he's going to push for like 35 minutes in a close game. He's out there for his defense, but he can get hot as a shooter. So he's never super fun because he has a low floor, but he has quite the ego on him. So he's not going to shy away from open shots and, in big moments and stuff. So he does look good at 4.7. Big time agree on that one. That's probably about it for power forward. Over at center, Bam leads the way with the best projection. He looks great. I do think Şengün is a pretty interesting tournament pivot away from Butler to close up the slate. He's not carrying any ownership. He's about the same price. You could certainly make the case as a pivot away from Bam or Banchero or whatever too, because Bam is carrying a lot of ownership as well. I just think like if I'm rolling a lot of lineups out, I definitely would consider playing Şengün and Butler or Şengün and Bam and like leaving one of those other guys out. I just think at 15% ownership, the ceiling he possesses in a big game two for Houston at home, he's very, very interesting. And we already talked about these other guys. Porzingis, though, 7-3 Porzingis with no Tatum. Not a very good spot, but the ceiling's pretty massive with Porzingis. So I like him quite a bit. And then, of course, you have Jarrett Allen. And I want you to touch on Draymond Green, too, because we didn't really touch on him very much. He's power forward eligible, too.
Yeah, I'm not really on Green as much as I was in one. His price tag came up a little bit, super low usage. Like he still has the ceiling, and obviously he's worth keeping in a player pool. But on this slate where there is a lot of other value at power forward center, I don't think we need it. really talk about Al Horford, but I think he's probably the best cheap play on the entire slate at any position, assuming he starts in place of Tatum. 4,300 could play around 30 minutes, if not more. Matching size. So I think Horford's just someone I'm going to be smashing even as chalk. I like the Porzingis call, by the way. Steven Adams, 3,500, going to have a roll off the bench for Houston. Rebounds the shit out of the ball. Not going to score a ton, but for 3,500, I think you can do a lot worse than him, even off the bench. He plays alongside Şengün sometimes, so I don't think playing them together is even the craziest thing to do. And then Jared Allen, dollar for dollar on Horford, my favorite. Center on the slate down to 5'9", fared quite well in game one, kind of at Mobley's expense a little bit, but I think both are really strong plays again. They're both just too cheap for who they are. So I don't mind them either.
Yeah, not sure how we missed Al Horford. He looks amazing at 4-3 with no Tatum. I would certainly assume he's going to get 30-plus minutes if the game stays close. Obviously not a great spot for anybody, but he's just way too cheap. Jared Allen feels very close to being this slate's Jalen Duren. 5'9" for Jared Allen is really, really cheap. I don't really love the matchup or anything, but it's hard to get away from that 5'9". It just feels like you're walking into an easy 40 fantasy points for way too cheap, possibly. I'm with you on Draymond too. Like price-based, Draymond is always hard to fade when he's like sub 6K, like at 6K or cheaper. But it's just not really the best spot. I personally feel Houston's going to come back with a vengeance in this game. So if I'm not like super excited about a Warriors guy, I'm just not going to play him. And right now tonight it's Curry and Dre for me. I'm just not super psyched to play those guys. All right, so that is going to do it for us for the position by position breakdown. Let's wrap things up with our strategy and flag plant of the night.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much playing Butler everywhere. I'm playing Podziemski everywhere and Al Horford everywhere. I think that would be like my core three, and then maybe Davion would be right after that. I think I'm going to flag plant Amen Thompson. Kind of underwhelmed in game one, first playoff game ever, wasn't super aggressive. I think he's going to be more aggressive tonight, attacking the basket, looking for his own shot, that kind of thing. So not very owned, pretty good price tag on him, guard forward eligible. I will ride and die with Amen Thompson today.
Yeah, I'm warming up to him quite a bit. I liked him already coming in, but you made a lot of good points. So I am definitely in on Amen over Chalky Wiggins, like for sure. I still want to get Jaylen Brown into that conversation, maybe even a little bit of Wagner, just because Amen still does have kind of a low floor. At least he has lately. So that's certainly something that I'm going to keep in mind. But flag plant wise, I really like Şengün in tournaments. He's not a core play, and I do still like Bam and Jimmy Butler a lot. I don't think I'm going to get away from Jimmy that much, but I do think since the matchup is not good and the spread is kind of high, getting away from a chalky ass Bam feels pretty reasonable. Like, what are you losing by getting away from 40% Bam to going to 15% Şengün? Nothing really. And it's a matchup he could absolutely dominate. There's no reason why he can't dominate Draymond Green. Just a massive game for Houston. Game 2, they got to tie the series up. It's at home. I love Şengün. I don't know why he's not pulling ownership, especially considering the state of this slate right now. All right, that does it for us. If you want finalized core plays for tonight's slate, hit up our Patreon link at the bottom of this video. Just $5.99 to get access to those, plus our MLB DFS picks and stacks for the entire month. So definitely take advantage of that. And if you want more personalized advice leading into lock for NBA or whatever the slate may be, you can also get access to our Discord when you sign up for our Patreon today. All right, thanks for watching and good luck.